smarts and my...
He told me enough.
No, I.
Here's Chuck.
You know, this is funny. Here's something very funny. When they make a Godzilla movie, and you want to know the joke? They make a Godzilla movie after a long time of him being absent. You say like it's one set in America, in an American country, the first one to not since 1998 to not be set in Japan. The one problem is, though, when you make your Godzilla movie, here's an alternative solution. You don't put him in your movie until the very last few minutes. And most of the film would be some guy you don't care about running all around the town, explosions happening, bunch of soldiers being wooden as shit, and a bunch of random monsters that have no connection to Godzilla. That's what you get with this whole movie right here. And if this is supposed to start a cinematic universe of certain film monsters, and this does a horrible job being the start of it. But anyway, yeah, hey everyone, it's Don G. Corleone here. As you can tell, I am here with a brand new rant. This rant is going to be for a Godzilla movie, and it's, no, it's not the one you're probably was hoping it would be. No, it's not. It's definitely not that one movie you probably think I'm talking about. And I will do a review of that, guys, and that's not going to be a rant. Because I actually enjoy that one you're probably all thinking about. But anyway, the point is, this one is going to be for the one that came out in 2014, nearly 10 years ago, and literally started off the MonsterVerse on a pretty shitty note. That film is going to be for 2014's Godzilla. Yep. One of Gareth Edwards' first feature films. What's the plot is? Well, in 1999, a Janujara nuclear plant was destroyed and those hands were lost, which is the supervisor Joe Brody's colleague and wife. And then years later, Joe's son Ford, who's now a U.S. Navy disposal, he has to go to Japan and help his father, who literally searches for the truth of the incident. And then the father and son discover the disaster secret caused on the wreck's very grounds. This then enables them to witness the reawakening of a threat to all of humanity, made all the worse with a second secret revival elsewhere. And in this catalysism, the only hope for the world may be Godzilla. But the challenge for Godzilla will be great even as humanity struggles to understand the destruction they all have. So, yeah, like, how was this made? Well, originally this project was going to be an IMAX short film in 2004, but then around 5 years later, it got transferred to Legendary in 2009 and would be turned into a feature film. Then the film got announced in March 2010. Then around January 2011, Gareth Edwards was announced as the director. When it came to filming the movie, principal photography would then start in March 2013, and then ended right in in the United States and Canada, and it ended in July 2013. Then after that was all finished, Godzilla 2014 would go on to be released into the theaters on May 16th, 2014. And, like, well, some weird reason, the weirdest thing is, when you have Godzilla in a movie, when America tries to make a movie that actually has Godzilla, it gets bad reviews. But when, for some weird reason, if they barely put Godzilla in the movie and call it Godzilla, it gets good reviews from critics. Yeah, this movie got good reviews. They thought the direction was good, they thought the visual effects were good, they thought the music was good, they thought the cinematography was good, and for some weird reason, they thought this was respectful to the source material. I don't know why, it clearly was not. And they liked Cranston's performance, but they hate the script, they hate the characters, and reasonably, even they hated Godzilla's insufficient screen time. Yeah, that's a big problem with that. You like it's faithful to the source material, but you suddenly don't like it doesn't have Godzilla. That's hypocritical. And it made money at the box office, with $529 million worldwide, and had a $160 million budget. And the print and advertising costs of $100 million, and it reached the break-even point of $380 million. And so, Toho, because of the film's success, Toho decided to produce a reboot of their own, and Legendary would pretty much proceed with a sequel and a shared cinematic franchise. We all know, like 5 years later, the sequel called King of the Monsters that had Godzilla in it would be released. Now, as for my reaction, like, you know I reviewed Godzilla -1 when it came out last year on December, but I've just never been the biggest Godzilla fan. When it comes to the monsters, I've always preferred Kong of the two. But I did see this film, and honestly, I don't like it. This is one of those films I've never liked. Like, when I tried to watch this, I was bored. When I first saw this, I was bored, and I rewatched it, was still bored. Like, most of this movie, I was on my phone a lot of times, or on my iPad, because this film barely interests me a lot, because almost nothing happens in this whole movie, and I have zero idea how this movie got such great success, and how it was praised by people. Like, as much as, like, hold on. Now, with this movie has Godzilla. Actually has Godzilla. People can shit on this all they want. Godzilla actually is in the fucking film. And actually makes an appearance. And doesn't appear, and they don't save him for the finale of the movie. People want to shit on that movie all they want, and yet they want to praise this. Even though, like, Godzilla's not even, 19 minutes, not even until the last 19 minutes. Hey, that's a good movie. When Godzilla's barely in a 1998 film, when Godzilla's in a 1998 film and it actually feels like a Godzilla movie and tries to be entertaining and not boring, that sucks. Like, they even thought King of the Monsters sucked, and even Godzilla actually shows up in that. It's like, I feel they praise a movie that barely has him at all. That's weird. When it comes to the American stuff, seriously, Godzilla -1 even did human characters better, and Godzilla, 1998, it's not as good as Godzilla -1. Godzilla -1 is still my favorite Godzilla movie I've seen so far. This movie, honestly, this movie shows that, honestly, only Japan can get Godzilla right, and I think I heard even Japan didn't like this movie, either. The title Godzilla leaves much to be desired, because Godzilla's only in for 19 fucking minutes in a film that's 123 minutes long. In fact, this movie doesn't even feel like it's 123 minutes long, because it's so bad, because I thought it was badly paced. This movie right here, I think this is 140 minutes long, and even this felt better paced than 1998 did. It felt less boring, because for this movie, you had Matthew Broderick, Hank Azaria as the entertainment of the film, to prevent the movie from being boring a lot. For a 139-minute movie from being boring, this one, and even their humor was not overthrown throughout the entire film. Their humor was done when it was necessary. This movie, being serious Godzilla film is one thing, but have the humor in the right moments, and have the characters have a personality. And Godzilla, another thing about Godzilla's movie, he's literally in the dark, and he's only seen by scales. He said, you want to know what this movie is? Just people, soldiers, more people, scientists, even more and more people, a bomb hitting people, and children having to be rescued by people. That's all it is. Hell, you might as well just call this People, not Godzilla. Yeah, you might as well just call this movie People, the movie. Like, want to know, like, all this time it becomes a Godzilla film is like the last half an hour. Yeah, so, yeah, this movie is pretty much a big lie. It's much like, almost as big, the first big lie in Hollywood since Machete. You know, like when the trailers for Machete came out, it looked like the great Grindhouse movie. A Grindhouse fake trailer was getting adopted into a film, and Danny Trejo was going to play him. All that movie was, it was talk about the border. Robert De Niro hating the border. More talk of the border. Like, the border done to death. Like, Gareth Edwards obviously has a passion besides Beatles, but as a filmmaker making a Godzilla movie, he did not do good with this. Like with the running time, all he did with the running time was just follow around this dull, one-dimensional family that have little to do with the actual events of the film. Like, and we also get Bryan Cranston grieving his wife, Elizabeth Olsen playing a character who gets nothing to do. It's just a character who works at a hospital. And, like, suddenly also this kid, her and Johnson's characters have that lurks around and also does fucking nothing to the plot. Like, and the worst of the lot is easily Aaron Taylor Johnson, who probably gives the most wooden, stale performance I've seen in a Godzilla character. And this was honestly a horrible acted choice for the role and the character in general. And it was a pointless role to begin with because he never even comes back. Ken Watanabe, he's decent enough, even if he gets underused. And you get the scientific problems like you have radioactive levels reducing or catalyzation. And the story plays fast and loose with the concept of the Mutos. It feeds on radioactive materials. Then a Muto leaves the main U.S. stockpile of radioactive waste voluntary. But it's supposed to be like lured out to sea by a nuclear warhead, or that makes no sense. And why the U.S. Army would try to transport the bait through the enemy territory by train rather than fly it out is bizarre and just fucking stupid. The story is like strong on Watanabe's claim that letting Godzilla duke it out with the Mutos is the way forwards. There's at least 2 occasions when Godzilla and one or more of the Mutos are together, and nothing seems to come of that confrontation. They just move on to another pursuit of monster versus monster. Nothing important happens. Like, how does this movie start? Like, we start off in 1954, like, which I guess makes sense because that original Godzilla movie came out in 1954. Godzilla is introduced as an alpha predator. He's lured to Bikini Atoll in an attempt to kill him with a nuclear bomb. And then in 1999, another flash forward, monarch scientists like Ishiro and Vivini, they investigate the skeleton of a monster that's similar to Godzilla in this cavern that's underneath the collapse of an urinary mine. Then they find 2 giant spores, one dormant, one hatch, and a trail leading to the sea. Then we go to Japan, where the RNG power plant experiences some systematic activity. Then our character, Bryan Cranston, plays Joe Brody, sends his wife Sandra to lead a team of technicians into the reactor, and a tremor breaches the reactor, and Joe has to close the reactor door before Sandra and her team basically can even escape if the plant collapses, so Sandra basically dies. Then we get a third flash forward, and now we're in the present day, 15 years later, 2014. Where now Joe's son Ford, our boring guy, has returned from a tour due to his wife, Elle, and his son. But then he has to immediately depart for Japan because Joe is detained for trespassing in the quarantine zone of that area. Then Joe is determined to find out the cause of the meltdown, and he persuades Ford to accompany him to retrieve vital data from their old home. So they go to their old home, and then they learn that the zone is uncontaminated and retrieve the data, but they're undiscovered, and they gotta take it to a facility, the plant's ruins. Oh no. Then the facility harbors a chrysalis that's been feeding off the plant's reactor for 15 years, and somehow nobody knew about this, and they emit intense electromagnetic pulses over time, and then some giant winged insect appears out of fucking nowhere, and creature emerges from the chrysalis and escapes, destroys the facility. Joe is severely injured in the incident, and then he dies. So Bryan Cranston was fucking wasted. Again, instead of this movie being about Bryan Cranston, let's just kill his ass off, and let's have Aaron Johnson's boring, lazy character be our lead here that we don't give a shit about. Then the incident gets reported as an earthquake by a bunch of dumbfuck government people. And another thing about another thing about Aaron Johnson's character, Elizabeth Olsen's characters in this film, yeah, they're actually both parents. They're both parents, because like I already mentioned how the film starts, yeah, they're actually parents in this movie, guys. And that's even further huger miscasting, because for huge starters, these two characters do not even look like parent aged at all. They look like they're college aged. So they might as well be this kid's college older siblings instead. Might as well. Yeah, like this was like before they like had a better team up in Age of Ultron as Wanda and Pietro in that movie. Thankfully, that team up was way better than their team up in this, because they're just in this movie, they're just boring characters. They don't have any chemistry in the film because they spend most of the film away from each other, so they don't get any time to get good chemistry with this. And when you have dialogue in this movie, there's too much irrelevant dialogue drama here. Like, there's plenty of films I've seen that have good dialogue and drama, and this is actually relevant to irrelevant drama here. And most of that stuff could have been cut shorter because this film is so horribly paced. And the scene where the main character's mom died could have been 1 or 2 minutes shorter, or it should have just been left out and just present as a short anecdote. They try to make it look so dramatic with how she died, but you don't even spend much time with her at all. So it's literally not sad. It's just lazy writing. Try to make us cry over a character we barely spend any time with. And it was just a few minutes into the movie, so it's unnecessary and just silly as hell. And besides, they later kill off the dad too. So basically, instead of being about Bryan Cranston and his character's wife, it's about these boring wooden college-looking couple. As for the action scenes, like, oh yeah, the action in this movie. No. There's too little action and it's too brief. And the only memorable scene in this movie that's action is the Godzilla's atomic breath. Like, the one time it tries to be a Godzilla movie is that one scene right there. Like, my god. Even this has more action. This has way more action than this. Way more. And and yes, guys, I'd rather watch this over the 2014 boring movie. You want to know why? Because regardless of Godzilla's new design, it's a Godzilla movie. Okay? It actually has Godzilla in it. The weirdest thing is, like, and this worst thing is, like, whenever if people say they like this movie, people give them, they get shit from the Godzilla fans. Somehow the Godzilla fans give this the fucking pass. Yeah, when some people say they personally like this movie, in their opinion, they get shit. And I would know because, like, one of my YouTube buddies, Declan Kearns, apparently said that when he said he liked the 1998 film, people gave him crap for doing just that. Yeah. People got so mad at him because he said he liked the 1998 film. And this is exactly why I barely take the Godzilla fanbase seriously. So people like it so I guess people like it better when it's Americanized, it's not Godzilla. And when Godzilla does appear, they suddenly give any movie shit. When Godzilla's not in the movie, they give it a pass. Like, when it comes to the human characters, this is a problem with the MonsterVerse. They don't have good human characters. Like, Bryan Cranston would have been perfect for the lead role. No. Let's kill him off. And let's replace him with Aaron Johnson's boring military soldier, who's like, literally the whole movie, that's his face. I'll call him boring military guy. Yeah, boring military guy. We get left with him, and he makes such dumb decisions as hell. And has no personality because he's so wooden and stale. Cranston's just isn't in it much as a trailer would suggest, and you don't see the monster. The film's 2 hours long, and you see no monster. You see no Godzilla. Like, for the first half an hour, we start off fine with Bryan Cranston. And Bryan Cranston is one of my favorite actors of all time, guys. But then again, even he's been thrown into some bad movie choices. Like, he was in that crappy Total Recall remake, which sucked. He was later in this, and he recently appeared in that shitty new Matthew Vaughn film Argyle, where Matthew Vaughn embarrassed the hell out of him by literally getting him killed by a CGI cat scratching his face. Have him team up with a shitty accented British Catherine O'Hara, who has a shitty British accent, and literally yells, "Finish him!" in Mortal Kombat style. Yeah, so love Bryan Cranston. Bryan Cranston's one of my favorite actors, but not every movie he's in always has been good. There's been some shitty movies he's been in. And like this was 2 years after he did the shitty Total Recall remake. But Bryan had the drama and perfect screen presence to hold your attention for it. Then he goes out of the movie, and he gets killed off before he can even kill off what could have been the best protagonist, and leave us with a shitty one. And does the monster have good moments in here? Not really. And guess what, guys? You don't even see Godzilla either. You want to know all you see? Godzilla's back. So you might as well call this Godzilla's Back the movie. We even see his thighs. He looks even out of shape because he's clearly been no screen time here. And all we hear him do is roar. And every time he's about to open a can and whip bats on some bad monster, it kind of feels like the Reservoir Dogs part. Mr. Blonde tortured the police officer, stuck in the middle with you playing the camera panning away. And guess what, guys? Whenever Godzilla's about to whip ass, it cuts away from that and we get to another scene. That's like saying, what can I think? How about have a scene of what can I think of? A scene in Die Hard where an action scene happens, then it cuts to the hostages, where John McClane's about to kick ass. Nope, it cuts to the hostages before we get to see it. Or when Hans Gruber's about to fall off the building, no, we just get to see the cops and we don't see him die at all. That'd be like if you made Die Hard like that. Or how about the Ninja Turtles movie, where every time Shredder is trying to make a monologue, it keeps cutting to the Turtles fighting. And every time we do that, it cuts to the Turtles fighting again. It's like that. Literally. Yeah. As soon as he acts seriously. And the monsters start fighting Tokyo here, the action just keeps going back to San Francisco. So after Bryan Cranston is killed off, Surizawa ground then joined a U.S. Navy task force that's led by William Stentz, and they search for the creature that's this time a Muto. But its recent ground revealed to Ford that this 1954 expedition awakened Godzilla. A nuclear test in the 1950s attempted to kill him, and obviously this did not work. And Project Monarch got established to study Godzilla's similar monsters. And they explained that the Muto caused the Generaria meltdown. And Ford and Steele's Joe had monitored signals indicated that the Muto was communicating with something, and it was presumably Godzilla. Muto attacks this then of course after that, the Muto shows up, attacks a Russian submarine, and gets dropped into Oha to eat the nuclear material. And then Godzilla arrives, causes a tsunami in Honolulu, and engages in the Muto in battle until it flees. And we barely see any of that, because the writers don't care to make a Godzilla movie. Then Surizawa deduces Godzilla was just listening to the Muto and communicating with something else. And the military then goes to investigate the other spores stored in the mountain nuclear waste in Nevada. But then a second bigger wingless Muto already emerges, and that attacks Las Vegas. So the scientists deduce that it's a female. And what was the male was communicating with? Their signals begin this being a mating call. Yeah, it's a great idea. A mating call is what they predict. I can't believe what jackass wrote this idea? Let's see in the credits below. Where's the writer? Where's the writer? Written by. Oh, I can't find it anywhere, but whoever came up with this idea was oh, wait, no. I was looking at the wrong one. Okay. Yeah, I could hardly find it. I know it's directed by Gareth Edwards, who clearly never knows anything about Godzilla. How he directed this film. You'd expect a bigger battle between the U.S. Army, Navy, Air Force, and Godzilla. We do get that in Godzilla -1, guys. And it worked beautifully well. Yeah, no. And when you do get, the noble hero aspect, then literally noble hero aspect of this movie, it feels like a Hanna-Barbera cartoon. Like the hero aspect from a Hanna-Barbera cartoon. yeah, like, I've seen better modern monster films than this, besides Godzilla 1998. Like, other stuff I'd watch over this, I'd rather watch Peter Jackson's King Kong. I love that movie, and that has better human characters, and they actually get a bit of a better developed connection with Anne and Kong, that film. Cloverfield. Hell, the Cloverfield was a found footage monster film, and that does a better job bringing out a Godzilla vibe. Even if that's not a Godzilla movie, that sure as shit felt like a better modern monster film than this Godzilla movie did. Yeah, and it brought a better end of the world vibe than Godzilla's misleading trailer for this movie alluded to. All we get from our main character, Eric Johnson's character, just all we get is him, no character development. He just goes whoop 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 from the center of action in one scene to the center of action in the next scene. And he just meets all the monsters eye to eye half a dozen times, and the monsters are too fucking stupid to kill his ass. So, the movie's just mostly about him, and Godzilla's just there as the backdrop. No. It's like, thank God. Somehow this guy does not get killed by any of the monsters. Don't you think these Mutos would have killed him if they saw him? If they want to end the world? They're like, oh wait, you're the main star. You can get a pass. Off you go. Doesn't work like that. These monsters should be trying to kill him. But no. That's why these monsters died. Because they can't even kill the lead character or put an effort. And the other acting is just subpar at best. Like, Ken Watanabe was fine in this movie, because at least he seemed like he was putting effort in here. Bryan Cranston was also the best part, but they kill him off within the first half. Elizabeth Olsen gets nothing to do, is useless to the film. Sorry guys, their character and her and Eric Johnson's son are useless to this damn film. They get no development, so you don't really care anything about what happens to them. And honestly, the movie probably wants you to care about something happening to them, but they're useless to the plot, so you basically don't. Yeah, seriously, instead of and Godzilla, he doesn't get developed because he's not in the fucking film. Instead of a introduction to Godzilla, the scene gets cut to show this part of a battle on TV, and it shows nothing more. And I don't know how Gareth Edwards thought that'd be a great idea. If you're going to inject humor to a grand introduction to the most anticipated monster film of the year, you can't even show the rest of the battle in real time on camera here. If you're going to see Godzilla again since 1998, you don't. You don't. I've already mentioned that, another example of this trope would be if Jurassic Park happened, and instead of getting that introduction to the T-Rex, you just cut to a different scene of the film before the T-Rex can immediately begin its roar and begin its attack. And where the monster attacks for a bit on screen, we're left just to see the aftermath while it's attacking in the background. A trait the rest of this film follows. Just focus on boring-ass humans on screen, while monsters are destroying in the background. And we're teased furthermore throughout the movie with scenes of monsters fighting on TV, and the camera focuses on soap opera. We have a scene of Godzilla being shot at by battle cruisers, and he does nothing but walk away. Instead of trying to attack. Just walks away just to show himself on screen. Because of the little screen time he gets. When he shows up far too late in the game, we get just frustrating near minor reveals, which literally just has Edward shut the door while that's build up and kick off the main event, get teased with a split second of monster action, and then we shut out of that before we can see any great epic stuff about it. Just literally a giant punching bag or wrecking ball for the other monsters. There isn't enough of him or enough characterization to make us give a shit. He turns up out of nowhere for no reason, and just disappears like nothing happens. Just there for the fan service and there to make the money. Ha! Just standing around, just looks like, not saying, just standing there like, hey guys, look at me, I'm awesome. Like that. And then we get to the finale of the movie, where a majority of Godzilla happens, because over the scientists' objections, Senate approves this plan to using nuclear warheads to lure all three monsters out in the open ocean and destroy them. Then we go to the US, where Aaron Johnson's boring character joins the team to delivering the warheads by train, and the female Muto intercepts them and devours most of the warheads, and the remaining warhead is airlifted with Ford to San Francisco, and the monsters are converging, they get activated after Godzilla appears at the Golden Gate Bridge, then the male Muto snatches it, takes it to the female, forms a nest around the Chinatown area, then Godzilla and the Mutos battle, and we barely get a good battle here, and for the strike team, we keep cutting to their lame asses, enter a city by Halo jump, like in fucking Halo, the video game, to finally disarm the warhead before it can detonate. And they can't access the timer, so the team gets the warhead onto a boat for disposal, and while Ford destroys the nest, and Godzilla defeats the Mutos and collapses on the shore from exhaustion, then Ford gets the boat out to the open sea, then he's rescued before the warhead explodes, and of course he reunites with his useless as fuck family at an emergency shelter the following morning. Yeah, we get to see the boring-ass guy reunite with a family we didn't give a shit about. That Gareth Edwards must have thought we'd give a shit about, but we don't. Because they're fucking useless. Like every other human in the fucking film. Then Godzilla reawakens, and he goes back to the sea. Then the media dubs him King of the Monsters after he barely appeared for like 19 fucking minutes. But they speculate if he's a saver or not. And then guess what, guys? We get one 1 minute long still shot of the ocean for a few seconds, and the credits finally roll. So guess what, guys? That was Godzilla 2014. Except there was nothing. It was about nothing at all. Just 2 hours of boring military guys somehow not getting killed by the Mutos, characters you don't care about, stupid cutaways that make no sense before we can see anything epic. Like, this is how they choose to start the MonsterVerse? What a waste of 2 hours. You're never going to get back. And a lying trailer that lies about being a Godzilla movie, and you're not going to see Godzilla at all till the end. If I can think of good qualities, the effects are good. Like with any disaster monster movie, disbelief would be suspected here. Like, there are some scenes that are not just dubious and silly, but just outright stupid, though. But the effects are at least good. I'll admit that. Like, some of the acting, like from Bryan Cranston and Ken, is fair. Even if it was handicapped by script writers that don't do any character development or meaningful interaction with others. And no significant show of emotion on the big screen. And that makes the human part forgettable. And while, I'll admit, Aaron Johnson's character is boring, but I will say not an asshole. Not an asshole, but definitely boring. Just boring is all. And Godzilla at least appears even in the ending of the film, and like, even though you could barely see his ass, just stands around. And it should have been the whole damn thing to begin with. And the movie, despite this movie feeling like 123 minutes, this feels like 150 minutes long. And this is 139 minutes long. This is longer than 2014. And it's not this horribly paced. And it's not so boring either. It actually feels entertaining. It actually feels more like a Godzilla film. And I don't care if people want to shit on me for saying that. Like, you don't understand jack shit if you like the 1998 movie. Well, guess what, guys? Maybe those who think a Godzilla movie is good when Godzilla's not in the damn movie probably don't either. Alright? This is the problem with fucking films today. Films that don't even remotely have the actual monster you think you're going to see always get a fucking pass. Anything today nowadays has to always get a fucking pass. Like, you guys, when King of the Monsters, you guys complained about Godzilla not being in the film. Godzilla appeared more in King of the Monsters, and you guys gave that movie shit for not being a boring-ass plot. You guys didn't like Godzilla didn't appear in this movie. Well, guess what? King of the Monsters, he appeared, and you didn't like that either. And people didn't like that either. That makes no sense. So, I guess, when the USA gets a Godzilla movie, do they like it better when Godzilla doesn't actually appear? In a movie that's called Godzilla? Do they like that better? Yes, I wish God. Yes, I'm not a fan of Godzilla's new design in the 1998 movie, but that film is actually enjoyable to watch, and I'd watch it over this. End of story. So there's probably good reasons why Godzilla belongs in Japan. This movie. So yeah, anyway, guys, I'm done. And I know, yeah. And once, yeah, cue the angry reactions, but I'm sorry, guys. In the end, Godzilla 2014 is totally, boringly bad. Okay? I think it's boring as shit. In the end, guys, please avoid Godzilla 2014 and please just skip to Skull Island or King of the Monsters because those are better than this movie and they felt like proper intros to the MonsterVerse. Anyways, guys, that's it for my rants on Godzilla 2014. If you're wondering how to rate Godzilla 2014, here's how I'm going to rate this movie. So overall, if you are excited to see Godzilla back after a long absence, don't bother with this. Skip to King of the Monsters, or even go watch Godzilla -1, or the original movie, because both of those are better modern Godzillas than a movie where he never shows up at all. And if you're wondering how I'm going to rate Godzilla 2014, I'm going to give Godzilla 2014 a 5 out of 10. There we go, guys. That wraps up my rants for Godzilla 2014, so you're wondering, wouldn't I be reviewing Kong Skull Island after this? Well, I still need to get Kong Skull Island on DVD. So I'm going to just go the King of the Monsters and then likely do an Underrated Gems review for Godzilla 1998. And I know that's going to get shit reactions as well. But I don't give a fuck. Right? And yeah, the fact that one of my YouTube buddies got death threats for liking the 1998 film and hating the 2014 film is exactly why I'm not a part of the Godzilla fan base. And probably don't really want to be part of that fan base. Yeah, well, guys, tell me in the comments below if you liked this movie or if you didn't like this movie. I'm interested in hearing your opinions. But if people are going to give me shit for saying I like the 1998 movie, they know the rules. They're going to get kicked off the channel and blocked. Okay? So no rude reactions. Till then, guys, that'll be it for this rant. Thank y'all for watching. If you like this, want to see more, don't forget to like, subscribe to Don G. Corleone.